So I want you to just uh, imagine for a second that you are stepping into a university classroom.
Okay, setting the scene.
Right. And you were there for a course called Well-Being and Healthy Lifestyle.
Which sounds, pretty standard, very traditional.
Exactly. I mean, you'd probably expect to get assigned a traditional essay on, like, nutrition or maybe basic stress management.
Oh, for sure. Write 10 pages on deep breathing exercises and hand it in by Friday.
Yeah, exactly. But instead, the professor hands you this highly technical, completely insane blueprint. And suddenly, you are expected to become a digital mental health advocate.
Plus a music producer.
Right. A music producer, an SEO expert, and a full-on video editor, all powered by this cutting-edge artificial intelligence tech stack.
It is honestly staggering when you look at the source material.
It really is. And so for our deep dive today, we are unpacking exactly that. We've got this fascinating, incredibly detailed project brief and a series of technical pipeline documents.
And these come from University Selangor, or UNISEL, over in Malaysia.
Yes. Authored by an assistant lecturer named Ensik Amir, and the assignment itself is titled Healthy Mind, Smart Student.
Which is such a massive understatement for what this project actually entails.
Oh, totally. The mission today is to figure out how modern higher education is just entirely rethinking what an assignment even is.
Right, because this is not an essay, not even close.
No, we are going to trace the exact 4-phase pipeline that these university students have to follow. It goes ideate, generate, assemble, and distribute.
And they have to use all of that to build what the syllabus calls a digital support ecosystem.
Right, an ecosystem specifically to help high schoolers manage exam stress.
Which, if you look at it, is basically a blueprint for a modern AI-powered digital media agency.
Yes, it's like you're being handed the keys to an agency. You aren't just learning what mental health is. You have to learn exactly how to package it and distribute it at scale to a younger generation.
And honestly, before we even dive into the crazy tech stack, we have to talk about who this is actually for.
The target audience, yeah, because the whole strategy revolves around them.
Right. The brief specifically says this is for secondary school students who are prepping for their SPM and STPM exams.
And for anyone who doesn't know, those are a massive deal in Malaysia, right?
Oh, absolutely huge. These are not just your average end-of-year tests. The SPM is basically the ultimate high school culmination exam, and the STPM is the pre-university certification.
So basically, high-stakes academic bottlenecks.
Exactly. They dictate everything. University admissions, major scholarships, foundational career paths. The pressure is just immense.
I mean, think back to when you were 17. You're sitting there at 3 a.m. staring at a physics textbook, just paralyzed by panic.
With all your parents' expectations and the peer pressure just crushing you.
Right. A traditional, dry university pamphlet about stress management is going to do absolutely nothing for that kid.
Nothing at all. They would just throw it in the trash.
Exactly. Which is why this syllabus mandates a strategic collaboration between the university students and the high schoolers.
And that is such a smart pedagogical shift. The university students taking this class, they just survived these exact same exams a few years ago.
They have that fresh, visceral trauma, basically.
Right. The assignment weaponizes that lived experience. It's this peer-to-peer advocacy model. The older students have the distance to give actual scientific advice, but they are still close enough in age to actually be credible to a teenager.
They aren't just some out-of-touch adult lecturing from a podium.
Exactly. They're like an older sibling reaching back down the ladder to pull you up.
I love that analogy. But the vehicle for this advice is what they call the digital support ecosystem.
Yeah, that specific phrase is key.
Right, because an ecosystem isn't just like handing out a flyer.
No, an ecosystem means you are surrounding the user with consistent messaging across multiple digital formats.
Like catching them wherever they go to procrastinate.
Exactly. A stressed kid scrolling on Instagram to avoid studying sees a cool infographic. That infographic hooks them into a high-energy song. The song leads to a podcast they can listen to on the bus.
So wherever they turn, they're bumping into validated mental health support.
Right, built straight into their daily digital diet.
But wait, I do have to push back on something here.
Oh, go for it.
If the whole point is genuine empathy, like real human connection from someone who's survived the exams, isn't it completely counterintuitive to force them to use artificial intelligence?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah. Doesn't it risk feeling totally robotic? Like a stressed teenager doesn't want to be comforted by a chatbot.
They absolutely do not. And Ensik Amir, the lecturer, clearly anticipated that exact problem.
Okay, so how does he solve it?
There is a very strict ethics clause in the assignment. It specifically dictates that every single tip they provide must be rooted in authentic, valid psychology theory.
So no making things up.
Right. The brief literally says, not just copy-paste. You cannot just grab a hallucination from ChatGPT and call it a day.
Ah, okay. So the human university student is acting as the curator.
Exactly. The human does the real academic research, finds the validated coping mechanisms, and applies their own empathy.
And then the AI just amplifies it.
You got it. The AI translates that dense academic theory into the language of the digital ecosystem. The empathy isn't lost at all, it's scaled.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So with that ethical baseline, let's actually get into the machinery of this thing, phase one.
Yes, phase one, ideate. This is the foundation.
A brainstorming engine. And they are using ChatGPT and Gemini for this, right?
They are, but, and this is crucial, it's not a free-for-all. They don't just open Gemini and say, give me stress tips.
Because that would just give them garbage.
Complete white noise. The source documents have this brilliant master prompt cheat sheet.
Oh, I was looking at that. It puts so many constraints on the students.
Right. They have to feed their valid research into the AI, and then they have to prompt the AI to find rarely discussed stress relief tips.
That rarely discussed part is so smart.
It forces the model away from its default settings. Because if you just ask for stress tips, it'll tell you to get 8 hours of sleep and eat your vegetables.
Which is exactly what teenagers completely tune out.
Exactly. By forcing the AI to go to the periphery of its data, the student actually has to evaluate the output. They have to know the psychology well enough to recognize if the AI is just feeding them a cliché.
So prompt engineering becomes a core academic skill here.
It really does. It tests their critical thinking. But phase one isn't just text. We have to talk about the visual constraints.
Oh my gosh, yes. The visuals are incredibly specific.
They have to generate exactly 5 unique AI images using Gemini.
And they can't just be random pictures. 1 is for YouTube thumbnail, and 4 are for this blog post report they have to write.
Right. And the syllabus gives them the exact concepts to generate.
Okay, let me list these off because it reads like a mood board from an ad agency. They need a glowing digital brain, an immaculately organized study desk, a young woman in a hijab meditating, a glowing checklist, and a surreal melting clock.
It is establishing a cohesive visual brand for well-being.
It really is. And let's break some of these down. The glowing digital brain. What's the point of that?
It grounds the anxiety in neuroscience. It visually tells the teenager, your stress is biology, not a personal failure.
Oh, wow. That's actually profound. And then the immaculately organized study desk.
That's environmental psychology. When your brain is chaotic, looking at a perfectly controlled, serene external environment provides a grounding anchor.
That makes total sense. Now, what about the young woman in a hijab meditating?
That is all about cultural contextualization.
Right, because usually mental health pamphlets just use generic stock photos.
Exactly. Vague, imported aesthetics. By demanding imagery that reflects the actual demographic reality of Malaysia, the ecosystem builds instant rapport. It says, this was built for you.
Okay, I love that. And the glowing checklist is obviously about breaking down big tasks into small ones.
Pure executive function, getting those little dopamine hits.
But the last one, the surreal melting clock. This one had me pausing.
Yeah.
Why Salvador Dali for exam stress?
I mean, think about it. What is your deduction there?
Well, I guess when I think back to cramming for finals, time just completely distorts.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like you stare at a math equation for 10 minutes and it feels like 3 hours. But then you check your phone and suddenly 4 hours are gone.
Anxiety completely shatters your internal clock.
So the melting clock is a visual validation of that feeling. It's telling the teenager, we know how distorted your reality is right now.
It's highly sophisticated, nonverbal empathy. And that is just phase one.
Right. So they have their visual identity locked. They have their text locked. Now we move to phase 2, generate.
And this is where the tech stack gets really dense.
Oh, yeah. Enter Notebook LM.
The audio and text engine. They have to feed all their psychology notes into Notebook LM to generate a blog post report in Malay, slide deck text, an infographic outline, and an audio overview.
Okay, wait. The choice of Notebook LM over just using ChatGPT again is really intentional, isn't it?
Very intentional. Notebook LM is like a closed sandbox. It only generates responses based on the specific documents you upload.
Which completely eliminates the AI hallucinating some dangerous medical advice.
Exactly. It keeps the health information strictly within the boundaries of the professor's approved research.
But the craziest part of this to me is the audio overview. The assignment literally requires them to generate a two-host podcast discussing time management and relaxation.
The meta layer there is just incredible.
They are making an AI podcast for their assignment, while we are doing a podcast deep dive about their assignment.
It's turtles all the way down. But the pedagogical logic is sound. It's about diversifying delivery.
Right, because not every kid wants to read a 2,000-word blog post.
Some just want to listen to a 10-minute conversation while they take the bus.
But wait, it gets wilder, the music therapy.
Ah, yes, Suno AI.
The brief mandates original music. Every single group member has to produce 2 songs.
So a group of 5 is dropping a full 10-track album.
An album to fight exam stress. And the prompts for this music, I have to read this. They are instructed to make high-energy pop rock or hip-hop tracks, featuring positive lyrics about facing exam stress using teenage slang and high-energy vocals.
It is completely redefining music therapy.
But is it? Like, is high-energy hip-hop with teenage slang really the best way to induce mental calmness?
Well, traditional music therapy makes you think of, like, ambient wind chimes.
Yeah, or like whale sounds.
Right. But if you tell a teenager who is absolutely vibrating with panic to listen to a slow lullaby, it feels condescending.
It totally mismatches their internal frequency.
Exactly. But a hip-hop track that acknowledges the pressure, uses their slang, and turns it into a hype anthem, that meets them where they are.
It transforms a clinical tip into a motivational track.
It redirects their nervous energy into empowerment.
And the procedure for making the songs is crazy, too. They have to use Gemini for one song's lyrics and ChatGPT for the other, and then feed both into Suno AI.
The professor is secretly making them do A/B testing on language models.
That is so sneaky. They have to figure out which AI is better at writing teenage slang.
It's an incredible exercise in comparative software analysis.
Okay, so by the end of phase 2, these students just have a massive folder of digital assets.
Just a mountain of raw files, podcasts, surreal images, pop rock tracks.
But having files isn't an ecosystem.
No, it's just digital clutter until you stitch it together, which brings us to phase 3, assemble.
The ultimate mashup.
Right, and they are using Canva Magic Studio for this.
And this isn't just dragging and dropping a few things. They have to literally layer their Suno AI pop rock tracks under their Notebook LM podcast audio and sync it to their Gemini images.
They're doing actual multi-track media editing.
And the deliverables are insane. A 20-slide visual deck, a recorded 10 to 15-minute presentation, and a high-quality quick tips infographic.
The technical rigor is what gets me, the mandatory export specs.
Oh yeah, let's talk about those. MP4 format at 1080p, 2K, or 4K resolution.
And they have to set the quality slider to maximum.
Like, why? Why is a health science lecturer demanding 4K broadcast quality from his students?
Because in the modern digital age, production value is a proxy for credibility.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
If a teenager clicks a video and the audio is blown out and the image is blurry, they just assume the information is garbage too.
Right, they click away in 3 seconds.
So Enskamir is forcing his students to understand that you have to look professional to be taken seriously on the internet.
Which means they are dealing with massive rendering times. Like, a 4K video takes forever to export on a standard student laptop.
Oh, absolutely. The software will crash, the timeline will freeze. They are learning the friction of actual production. AI doesn't do the hard work of building the final product.
They still have to be the architect. Okay, so phase 3 is done. The video is rendered. It looks amazing.
But if no one sees it, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. A tree falling in the forest.
Yeah.
Which brings us to phase 4, distribute.
And this might be the most modern phase of the entire syllabus.
I think so too, because they are targeting a very specific YouTube channel called Smart Dream, Smart Vision.
Specifically, the well-being and healthy lifestyle playlist.
But they don't just upload it and walk away. The syllabus grades them on their algorithmic literacy.
They have to use Vidiq.
Yes,
Yes.
Vidiq, for search engine optimization.
Which is wild, a university assignment grading students on SEO.
They have a strict Vidiq SEO quota checklist. They need 1 viral title, a fully optimized description, 15 strategic hashtags, and 15 metadata tags.
They are learning how to hack the YouTube algorithm.
And the examples of the viral titles in the source are just hilarious. Slay exam, stress-free, mental power conquers exam stress, and exam no stress.
Slay exam stress-free.
I mean, that is engineered to get clicks.
It really is. It addresses the pain point immediately and promises a solution. It's classic clickbait.
But wait, is it ethical to use clickbait for mental health?
Well, think about the philosophy here. Academic knowledge is completely useless if it stays trapped in a boring PDF.
True. No 17-year-old is reading a PDF called Strategies for Cortisol Reduction.
Exactly. So the university is teaching them to hack the attention economy for a good cause.
It's a Trojan horse strategy.
Precisely. You use the aggressive, flashy tactics of the internet to get them in the door, but the payload inside the video is deeply researched, valid psychology.
You are competing against Mr. Beast and video game streamers. You have to play their game to win the kids' attention.
The SEO optimization is literally a medical intervention in this context.
That is just brilliant. Okay, so as we zoom out, we hit section 6, the final dashboard and the professor's guardrails.
Because the sheer mountain of work here is terrifying.
Let's recap the deliverables. Multiple Suno AI songs, an audio podcast, a 15-minute 4K video, a 20-slide deck, an infographic, and a blog post.
6 massive media projects.
Due by week 10.
Without AI, that would take a whole production team an entire year.
So how does NSIC Amir make sure the whole class doesn't just have a collective meltdown?
He built a massive safety net. The syllabus explicitly offers office hour consultations specifically for technical bottlenecks.
Right, like if the DEEC isn't connecting or Canva crashes.
He even put his personal phone number directly on the brief.
Which means he knows the tech is going to fail. He's expecting it.
He's not just grading the final output, he's coaching them through the mechanical failures of the pipeline.
It makes me think of him like a producer of a massive music festival.
Oh, I like that comparison.
Yeah, like he's not on stage playing the instruments. He built the stage, booked the talent, set the rules, and now he's just standing by the soundboard making sure the speakers don't blow out.
He created a safe sandbox for radical experimentation.
He really did. And there's a final quote from the syllabus that I think just ties this whole thing together perfectly.
Make the Smart Dream Smart Vision platform a medium for beneficial knowledge sharing.
It elevates the whole project. It's not just an assignment you do for a grade and then throw in the trash.
It's a permanent digital legacy.
Think about it. 3 years from now, some stressed kid in Malaysia is going to be up at 2 a.m. freaking out about their SPM exams.
They'll search YouTube.
And because of the Vedic SEO training, they will actually find the SLAY exams stress-free video.
They'll hear the Suno AI hip-hop track,
Yeah.
see the culturally relevant visuals of the student in the hijab, and actually learn real coping mechanisms.
It's the democratization of mental health advocacy.
At an unprecedented scale.
Truly. So, just to synthesize this incredible journey, we watched dry psychology theory go into Gemini to become melting clocks. We saw Notebook LM turn it into podcast scripts. Pseudo AI made it into hip-hop anthems. Canva brought it together in 4K. And Vedic weaponized it for the algorithm.
It really proves that AI in education doesn't have to mean lazy plagiarism.
Not at all. With the right ethical framework, it scales human empathy.
Which brings up a really provocative final thought for you listening.
Yeah, as we wrap up this deep dive, think about this. If AI is making the actual creation of content, the writing, the designing, the editing, practically effortless.
Does the true value of human education completely shift?
Right. If knowing the answers isn't the hard part anymore, does the future belong entirely to the people who have the empathy to curate those answers for someone who is struggling?
Are we moving into an era where our worth isn't about memorizing data, but about how well we can build support systems for each other?
I think we just might be. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of Unisil's radical